Well, hello and welcome to my garage with some challenges. I've been watching a few people play and they've created some challenge ideas, and I'm going to kind of do one as well with a few variations on it for some of the bugs they've worked out and some of the things I feel could make it a little more worthy. As you can see in the top right, I am only level 4, but only 2 experience away from level 5. I started by doing the first story job because it wouldn't let me take any other job until that was done, which is in here. This is story job number 2, and I've only been able to do whatever 2 jobs have came up because I'm not level 5 yet. So far I've taken both of every job I can until I have gotten to this point. This is one of those jobs, and they want a couple of parts, which I've already purchased so far. Okay, why they had to double that, I have no idea, but whatever. So, the challenge is, as soon as I get to level 5, I can go to the junkyard. At level 10 I can do the barn, and then 15 I can do the auctions. So, at level 5, and just so you know, I've only bought the one discount. I have 2 extra points I can spend on some other things, but haven't wasted it. So from the very first job, I spent most of the money buying just the scanner tools so I can increase my level without increasing my income to keep the cash flow limited. Now, I haven't bought the OBD scanner yet, which I can, but I'm looking at level 5 in the junkyard here shortly, and I don't know that by the time this car is done, that I can get that car. And as you can see, everything is inspected except for this last tire, which will put me over level 5. Everything else has been looked at and inspected, etc. But the job hasn't been done. So as I'm explaining, I'll go on to level 5 here, which opens now the junkyard. There's 3 parts on this car that need to be fixed, one of which is the tie rod up in the corner you can see. This one there. And then there's also a suspension link here. I believe it's on this side, right here. And the rear sway bar, which means I have to pull both rear tires, this link, and this link in order to get the suspension arm off of there, which is not really a big deal. It's just part of what we got to do. And everything heads to the junkyard. Might have a couple other things I want to do. First things first, get this part of the job taken care of. As long as I have the right parts, I'll be able to put it back together. Oh, rear sway A. And I did buy the tablet, by the way, just because that makes a lot of sense. Did I buy all these parts? I did. Alright. Rear back. Now, from the jobs that I have done, I was allowed to keep the parts that were not red. So So as you can see, above the cutoff. Right. So some of the challenges I have seen, they allowed themselves to take a customer's car, strip it to bits to use on their project car. I wouldn't be in business very long, if at all. Alright, so that side's done. Sway bar front end link. Right. Which side is that? This one is fine. I should have done that over here. I can't take it off without the tire. Dang it. Whatever. I can only use cars that I buy to strip parts from. And the end goal is to make a car from the junkyard run and drive on the track. The best lap is the one I keep as the baseline. Alright, so how much do we make here? 330 bucks, not much. But there we go. So that job is out of here. In my inventory, as you can see, red parts have to go. These I can save because if I eventually open the breakaways, I can fix them. These are not red, so they would still work. Highly doubt any of this would ever end up on a customer's car, which technically does not matter because I have the second car from the phone jobs out here, which needs, what does it need? Brake pads, ABS, and a disc. Nothing major, but it needs it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of this job real quick, and once it's ready to go off and do its thing, I'll show you where I'm at, and we'll go from there. Alright, I'm down to the last part that needs to be replaced. And one of the other things that has been part of the challenge mode is a set budget for parts. One guy has set no more than $1,000 on parts from the catalog, the store. Worst case scenario, simply because there are parts that can't be replaced or repaired, and it seems you can't repair them, they therefore would remain pretty well junk. Okay, as you can see, I have finished the job, and I'll make another $1,200, which is pretty nice. But you can also see that at this point, nothing has been inspected. And the reason for that is because once I've reached level 5, I do not want to do any more inspections to raise my level, because then I don't make no money. And at level 10, I then have to skip the junkyard and go to the barns. So the more money I can make before I get to a barn, the better. And if I'm doing inspections, I'll end up in a barn with not very much money to spend. The second part of that is I am not allowed to do any more phone jobs, meaning I can no longer do phone jobs. At this point, because I have almost $6,000 in my account, I have to go to the junkyard and see if I can find a vehicle. Now, if I cannot find a vehicle I can afford and still have money to spare, then I can do a job to make a few bucks. But I have to spend at least half of that profit on parts to make the car run. and that is the only place I can make money to remove new parts onto the car. And they have to start with motor parts. Now, the second thing is, I am not allowed to buy anything from the junk piles unless it is for that. Meaning I can't store up a whole bunch of parts, repair them, and sell them off. Because once they're over level 15, they're usable parts and I cannot sell them. I have to hold on to them and save them for another day. So here I believe we have basically an Impala. See, this would cost $5,200. That would leave me almost $500, $460. That's not very much to make it run. And it seems, I don't know if I can get up there too. I can't even get up there to see the motor. And it's not complete, so I'm pretty sure it's going to take more than a couple of grand worth of parts to fill out the bottom, the whole front, intake, all that fun stuff. It does have 4 tires, which means most of the suspension should all be there. Exhaust is kind of relevant and irrelevant. Alright, so this car is a little on the expensive side. What we got in here? This one would also require an awful lot of motor. It does have 4 tires, so it is possible. $3,000, that would give me a couple of grand to play with. However, for the first vehicle, since I cannot repair anything at this moment, because I don't have the garage expansion, I can only add parts to it or swap what I have for what's there that's better condition, along with a minimum budget. But the real question is, can I get a vehicle to run and go on the track before I sell it, or do I sell it before it runs? Over there. Yeah, this one's missing an awful lot of the front as well. We're looking at price-wise, over the budget, off the list, not even an option. So, what to do with the very first car? Because I have seen some people take this challenge, buy every car they can, strip them down to the bare bones, and then try to get one of them running. I feel whatever your very first car is the challenge of getting it to run. Alright, so there's Del Rey. Can I get up there? I have to be able to get up there, can't I? Alright, it's also missing the entire supercharged motor, which that's some expensive bits. It is missing a brake drum. Now let's see what she cost if it's viable. Nope, expensive. That's a bummer, because I would have liked that one. So, at what point do I have to do more jobs to make a few bucks, or sell the car and go on to project number 2? Clearly I have until level 10. Alright, well, it looks like we got a little, the white car over here is now the cheapest one, so there's nothing else amongst all of that. Personally, I would much rather have the Impala, which is a little more expensive, doesn't leave me as much compared to this little guy. But this is a 4-cylinder, which means only one head instead of both. So let's see. Yeah, this would be the best option. I can afford it, which means I should buy it. I only have $57.42, and that's it. So, let's buy this one, take it back to the shop, see what we can improve on it. And this is actually going to cost $33.15 by the time it's said and done. You actually count that. Let's see how much profit is to be made if we're to just sell it as is. Alright, well, we got the car back to the shop. I did not go shopping for any parts, which I had technical difficulties with my recording. My voice was obviously not recording well enough, so the first half I may have to overdub. So anyway, this vehicle, we can now move. Alright. So as you can see, I do not have, nor the battery. I can do suspension, which I don't have. We got tires I can do. I can give it a wash. Interior detailing. Let's see how much that rings up for us here. Alright, so right off the bat, we're making $263 just for buying the car. Not bad. Not bad. We can take that. That's good. So 263 bucks. Oh, that's going to cost 115, which means it's got to be over 200 for 400. Is it over 400 profit? Yes. All right. So if we bought the car and washed it, we could sell it on and make a profit. That's a good start. Not a bad deal. But, well, let's see. We don't need that, and we don't need that. I do have a brake system, a fuel pump, a couple of rotors and pads we might be able to swap in there. Don't think the tires will fit, so. Let's see. Under the hood, do we have? Oh, we do. Alright, so let's put these piece of junks in here and make a few extra bucks anyway. Alright, so as you can see, there is a lot of parts I do not have that I cannot afford. And technically, 2,400 bucks I could max out my budget, buying the parts, and end up with zero money unless I sold the car. Chances are it will not run because it won't be complete, which means the challenge fails. So rather than going doomed from the start, and again, I'm not inspecting anything. And as you can see in the bottom left, it's a question mark, so it doesn't say how good it is. It just tells me I would have to take off the tire in order to get there to see what it is. So at this point, without having an income from doing jobs, and without being able to inspect items to increase the level, I have to do the most I can to this car. See, I don't remember which one came off, but either that's an improvement or it's the one that was on there. Either way, it should go up slightly. So it's either an improvement or it's the same as it ever was. Let me see. I don't have. Must have been an improvement. Okay. The only other thing I have is more pads and stuff, so this ain't gonna help. Let's check to see what size the tire is. There's 16s. Wouldn't help. Wouldn't help. Alright, so we're already close to 1,000. Getting there. Can't see that side either. Hard to really say anything when it's making that impact noise sound. bolts ain't so bad. All right, that's 20 and 23. That's 15. And that's 8. Yeah, that'll definitely be an improvement. Yeah, we get a red part we can sell. And no, none of this is good parts. None of it. Until I get far enough along to actually make enough money to open up the expansion bay to where I can then repair parts. I am literally shade tree mechanic in the backyard, making a couple of dollars, buy a piece of junk, turn it into a project car to sell. Until I can afford to actually make one a runner that I can then take to the track. So the challenge is slightly different in the fact that I can't just take the first car and make it a seller or a runner unless I do jobs, which I think kind of should have to do one job between runs to the junkyard. That way you do make a few bucks to afford to go to the junkyard. Because nobody goes shopping without money, right? And window shopping don't count. All right, let's see which of these parts we can replace to improve. Caliper is 16. I think we can improve that. Pad is 20. Okay, so the pad was 20. We got a 2% increase. That was 16, so we got a 7% increase. That's a little progress. All right, let's throw the tire on here. Yuck, that rim is shot. That's a dirty old rim. Right. So this can actually get sold. We don't have, well, we do have one rear disc. And we have one pad that's not too bad, and a caliper that's not too bad. So let's see if we can do anything with that. I'm sure we can at least replace the disc. Yep, that's an improvement. We should be well over $1,000 of profit at the moment. Not sure that was a whole lot of improvement, but all right. All right, so that's all we can do in here at the moment. We need exhaust, we need a fuel tank. I do have the fuel pump, but not the tank, which, let's just see how much the tank would cost. The tank would cost $285. That's not bad, and it is a part we would need that can't be repaired that I doubt you find in a junkyard. It's possible, but I doubt it. The rear muffler and the exhaust pipe, catalytic converter. I don't think there was any of the other rear stuff that needed to be added. I mean, it's mostly the motor that's gone. Looks like all the suspension is for the most part here. So it's all the underhood and motor stuff. Yeah, and a lot of it. And a lot. Right, so at this point, rod caps and bearings and oil pan, filter, all the fun stuff up above, and then some. Makes this kind of, it's possible to get it running. Can I do it for under 2,400? No. That I don't think so. So, lower this down. Boy, that door looks shot. Badly. So anyway, oh, I hate how it does that. Alright, inventory-wise, this can go bye-bye. Alright, we have nothing in here for the engine base, because the jobs I've started to do were brake jobs, and that was it, basically. Brakes and a couple of steering suspension bits. So for right now, we're looking at almost $1,000. $3 short of $1,000, which is a profit. And we got some red parts that would have to get taken care of eventually. So yeah, and a lot of missing parts and then some. Motor options isn't a bad deal. Right. So here is the question. Do I sell it as is? Do I take what little money I do have, go back to the junkyard, see what I can find for it, put those bits on it, and see if I have any money left over and go from there? I say we start with that because, as you can see, I have no other cars out here. So we will go to the junkyard, buy what we can, see what we can do with the parts we get. I'm going to spend a little time going through all the piles and edit past that so you don't have to watch clickety clickety over and over. Before I leave the junkyard, I'll show you what I bought for the Katsumoto Tagaga, whatever, that car. And then we will return to video. So I'm going to go scout some piles and I'll be right back.